that's even higher quality, something that's even better, right? Be even more ethically upstanding, be even more engaged in politics, be even more engaged in social justice, because I want to shape it. And if there's 5,000 people out there that don't want to participate, that's cool. They can fund the thing that I'm shaping.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like in a very Darwinian,
dark kind of way.
Well, it's not dark though. And I think Darwinism is what it is. And like, we have to accept it and operate within its purview. But I also have the inner idealist, which is like, well, can we do better? Right? We're not just animals. Like, we're part animal and part rational, human, civilized, divine, whatever you want to call it. And I wonder if it is just economics at the end of the day, that by making the weak more difficult to prey upon, right? Again, I'm thinking about Bitcoin. It's like, if you have weak people holding their savings in Bitcoin, that just makes them harder to prey upon. You can't inflate it. You can't tax it. They can move it easily. They can conceal it easily. Does that change this recurrent human dynamic to just constantly have the powerful preying on the weak? Because what that does is, in each of us following our own relative interests, we're actually shortchanging our absolute potential. Because if we did have a world where everyone thrived, so to speak, I mean, obviously this is a generalization, we would all be better off, right? Because everyone would be doing what they want to do. You know, their passion would be aligned with their profession, so that everything that we enjoyed would be from the guy that was passionate about making chairs and passionate about making shoes and socks. So we'd get this increase in the variety and quality of goods and services that would benefit everyone. But we cannot realize that future if we keep just preying upon one another over and over and over again. So, but maybe there's a technological solution in things like Bitcoin to push us out of that dynamic.
For sure, I think that what Bitcoin does is it changes the spectrum of of what defines weak people, right? Because you got to remember, we talk about the powerful and the weak as if it's a dichotomy.
Sure.
It's not.
It's a continuum.
It's a continuum. There's a middle point, at which point you are more strong than you are weak, or more weak than you are strong. But there's still a continuum. So the individual who has their money secured in a fund that nobody else can touch but them because it's in a wallet with Bitcoin, that is not the same level of weakness as a person who is 100% tied to an employer who puts money into their, PNC bank account or their Capital One bank account.
That can be frozen at the touch of a button.
Correct. Yeah. Right. So even though both people may have the same level of education, the same level of income, the same level of, world trauma or life trauma, they might be equal in all other ways. But just by having your money outside of the reach of the federal government, you are not as weak as the other person.
Right.
Right. And then on the other side of the spectrum, on the powerful side of the spectrum, I have multiple ultra high net worth clients. Guess what they're all invested in? Bitcoin. Every one of them. Now, some of them invest more because they believe in the technology. Some of them invest less because they are completely unfamiliar with the technology, but they still want to have the opportunity to see it grow.
Yes.
But like when it comes to wealthy people, the metrics on Bitcoin are astounding when it comes to the concentration of total Bitcoins owned by wealth and income bracket, right? Because so much is owned by wealthy people. And the amount that's owned by your average person, right, is a different saturation level in terms of quantity of Bitcoins versus percentage of total buyers. And I think that really speaks to the buying power of the wealthy. Yeah. They know they can buy in large amounts. That's why we call them market movers.
Yeah.
They can change the entire direction of a market.
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating when you see how that technology has been adapted or how it's been adopted by people who are already traditionally seen as strong versus weak.
Right.
The strong lean into it, take the risk and invest in it. And guess who the future strong, the future powerful will be today's weak who adopt the same methodology.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point, that even in Bitcoin with all of its, let's say, beneficial aspects for human beings, right? Like giving us greater freedom, autonomy, etc. There's still a Darwinian process playing out. Like whoever can get it is going to get it, and the people that get it first are going to have the most in the long run. Yeah, you're definitely seeing that play out. But if anything, it's there's a lot of people want to wage a moral argument against that and say, well, that's a problem. And it's like, well, the way I try to say it is like, look, the train is moving.
Yeah.
You can argue about the train and complain about the train.
Stand in front of the train.
And you can do whatever you want. You can moralize it, but it's moving.
Yeah.
And it's like you either get on or you get off, or if you try to stand in front of it, you're going to get run over. It's like the moralizing doesn't do anything.
Right.
Like you can say it's not fair, Bitcoin's distribution is not fair. Well, neither is the US dollar distribution, neither is the gold distribution, neither is anything. Like nothing's fair ultimately, but in Bitcoin, we at least have something close to that ideal of a level playing field because it's rules that no one can change or bend or break. And that's something humans have never had before. So it seems really useful.